Hey, everybody.
Welcome to the Maddog and Pino NFL review. Two drinking buddies shooting the shit about the NFL.
How you doing tonight, Pino?
Pino's all right. Even the losers get lucky sometime.
They watch the games, break it down for you, and deliver all you need to know from the weekend's action.
That means there will take about 16 games,
Yeah.
right? So half of them lost, right?
Yeah.
So 32 divided by 2, but
60.
14 teams have a loss.
What?
Die-hard fan? You'll get all the in-depth analysis behind the scores.
Devontae Adams had 175 yards last week. Well, the other guy, Nico Collins, had 107 yards this week.
Check out the big brain on Brett.
Or just a fan of the NFL spectacle? You'll get all the quirks, follies, and absurd moments from each weekend's action.
If he took a shotgun snap, by the time he caught it, he could smell the Starbucks on Micah Parsons' breath.
We got the shit kicked out of us from the moment they walked out of the tunnel.
So, join us now for the insights, laughs, and chaos that is the Maddog and Pino NFL review. Now your hosts.
Hey, everybody. This is Maddog. I'm here with Pino, and welcome to the NFL review for the championship weekend.
Conference championship weekend. How you doing, man?
I'm doing all right. How are you, man?
I feel fine. It's not the end of the world, but I feel fine. I'm good here in. We're doing an early cast today.
We are.
So we might be coming a little hot.
It's kind of trying to squeeze.
Haven't had hardly any White Russian.
Exactly. better fire those up. Yeah. So championship weekend. Pino and I, for a change, actually watched games together this weekend. So that was a nice treat.
And shockingly, both the entirety of both games in the same place.
Yes.
At the very high end, King Harbor Yacht Club, with the excellent tuna club. By the way. Thanks, Nev D.
Exactly. All right, so NFL Championship weekend. Games were great. There was comebacks. There was some boneheaded decisions. There was the inevitability that was and is the Chiefs. There's a tale of two halves in San Francisco, but all of that was pretty. I don't know. It's just championship weekend. If you can't get fired up for that, irrespective if your team's in it, then you're just not really a fan.
Yeah, because that's the real. That's literally. I mean, the Super Bowl is what it is,
right?
But it's such a event,
right.
It's like it's the last real weekend of real kind of games.
Yep.
In my mind.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the reality is, it's great if your team's not in it because it's no fucking pressure, right? You may have something you're rooting for, which we'll get to, but you just enjoy the game.
And I think we talked a bit. The playoffs, there's a whole another level of intensity, and I think there's definitely another level of intensity that we'll see in a couple of weeks in the Super Bowl. But even like as you progress through the playoffs, the level of intensity gets just higher and higher. Like, the hits that were happening on both sides of the ball, like people would not go down. Pacheco and McCaffrey in particular, like it seemed like it took 8 people to bring them down every single time they touched the ball. It's just like a whole nother level of intensity.
I know Pacheco's, he's a Rutgers guy. University of New Jersey. Bruce wrote a song about him. On your wrecking ball. Because that dude is like, he runs into the pile, to the scrum, and you think if the play's over, then boom, all of a sudden he's out the other end of it.
I know, no shit. So, and then on top of the players bringing their game, I'm curious as to your thoughts, but it seems like even like the TV coverage ups at games, the refs kind of up their game. We're going to get to it in the games, but all in all, we haven't really been talking about the refs, so that's probably a good thing. You know what I mean? So I don't know. It just seems like the whole level of greatness that is the NFL just elevates as we go through the playoffs.
Right. Maybe we should they're so intense, as we joked about Tony and Jim, like calling it, hey Tone, hey Jim, like throughout the entire game. So maybe through this podcast, you just go with, you want me to say Pino and I'll say
all right. So listen, there's coaching carousel news. We got other crap we can talk about, but again, I'm so excited about the championship weekend and the games that we just saw that I thought we'd just dive into the games. You want to go that direction?
Yeah, that works for me.
All right. So the first game was Chiefs 17 at the Ravens 10. And like I said, in summary, the Chiefs, just looked like they've been there before. You know what I mean? And the Ravens looked like they were, a team that, just thought it was going to be given to them. And of course, the Chiefs weren't going to give it to them. And by the end, the outcome was what the outcome was.
They just looked kind of like, I don't know if it's disjointed. I mean, I'm not going to say Harbaugh didn't prepare them, but they didn't look very. They
didn't look very well disciplined.
Yeah,
sure.
They definitely had no discipline.
Yeah,
but they. It's probably not prepared is the right term, but they just weren't. They weren't ready. It was like the game started without them. And the way I kind of was my read watching.
I totally agree. And Harbaugh always gets credit as a great coach, and I think he's a good coach.
Yeah.
But again, like we said, they were really undisciplined. And I even turned to you at one point. I'm like, well, there's one team that will never give up on running the ball, and that's kind of why I think Harbaugh is a good coach.
Right.
And the Ravens, again, they were never down by more than 10 points in this game. Actually, I don't think they were ever down by more than 7.
Right.
And actually, they were down at 10 at halftime. But anyway, it doesn't matter. They gave up on running the ball. They had 6. They handed the ball off to a running back 6 times in the entire game.
Right. Yeah.
Like,
and they're a running team.
Exactly. Right? So, yeah, if someone would have told me that stat before the game, I would have been like, it must have been 45-3.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like, there's just no way that the Ravens would do that. And then, all right, so before we get into what it means for LJ's legacy and Mahomes' legacy and all that garbage, let me just at least kind of give you a little bit of the game flow. Baltimore went 3-and-out. KC then went on a 10-play TD drive to go up 7-0, and that was like a consistent theme of the game. That KC just dominated time of possession. Even when they didn't score, it seemed like they held onto the ball 3 or 4 minutes.
Right. They shortened the game.
Exactly.
And then we got to go to the box early.
Exactly.
On that first drive, because that was Kelsey's touchdown, right?
Yeah. Baltimore had a 6-play, 75-yard drive to tie at 7-7, and that was when LJ, hitched, reset, and hit Zay Flowers for a touchdown. Again, a play that he and only a few other people can make.
Yeah, that's one of the new terms. Like, there's not many people on the planet who can make that.
Exactly.
Well, there's not the percentage of the people on the planet that play football.
Right. Right. And KC got the ball back. They drove down the field and scored a touchdown, make it 14-7. And this is still, I think, the first quarter, maybe the beginning of the second quarter. And you're thinking, like, it's going to be a shootout.
Right.
And it's like 14-7, and there's only, 20 minutes gone in the game. Then Baltimore fumbled, and KC has a chance to go up by 3 scores. And then they although we'll talk about fourth down decisions in the next game, but Andy Reid, instead of kicking a field goal to go up 10 points, goes for it on 4th and 2 and doesn't get it. And then from that point, in hindsight, like when I was reflecting on the game, it just, and we talked about it when we were watching it like turned into this defensive struggle that you just never expected. Like there was just punt.
Right, and we were talking about, like, we're surprised anyone even has punters.
Exactly.
I thought they'd go out and just quick kick it. Like that short hop bounce, whatever it's called.
Yeah, exactly.
It wasn't. I didn't think it was. Yeah, I guess it was a defensive. Like, it was good defense was played. It just didn't feel like, especially compared to the Niners Detroit game.
Yeah.
It just didn't feel like a great game to me.
Yeah, I think,
you know what I mean? It was sort of like,
I think that's because, and we should get to that now or soon. I think that's because, weirdly, like, Mahomes kind of turned into game manager. He's like, these guys are going to fucking beat themselves. So I'm not going to do anything stupid to, like, fuck that up. Let them beat themselves. You know what I mean? So Kansas City scored a field goal, 17-7. That was the only scoring until. There was no scoring in the second half until 2:30 left in the game, and that's when Ravens scored a field goal. They needed to get the ball back. They didn't, and the game was over. But along the way, we've both referenced undisciplined and not prepared, whatever you want to say. But there was a few really dumb plays that the Ravens, just enabled the Chiefs to do what they did. And Zay Flowers was at the forefront of a lot of it.
That poor bastard.
So rookie receiver had a really good season, probably on the all rookie team, I imagine. He had a 54-yard catch when they were down 14-7, and caught it, stood over the guy, pushed him down, spun the ball at him, and then just stared him down. Just stared him down. So I'm like, all right, maybe you get away with 2 out of those 3 things. You're not going to get away with all 3. So that was definitely taunting. So that, instead of it being a 54-yard play, it was a 39-yard play.
Remember, it was great. Like Tone and Jim brought in Gene Sarator. Like, hey, Gene, what do you think? And he goes, pushed him down, stood over him, spun the ball, stared him down. Textbook taunting. like when that's the picture in the rule book.
Exactly.
They call it taunting.
Exactly.
So but here's, I haven't thought about it. Like, clearly that was taunting.
Yeah.
But if you remember in that game, Kelsey's like the guy who is always instigating shit, but he's never the second guy in.
Right.
He's pushing.
Extracurricular. Of course he baited him, but like, that's my point. So you got to be smart.
Right. No, you do. You know? And it started pregame where the
where I heard this. Yeah.
Justin Tucker's warming up at the goal line, and Mahomes is working up passes, and Kelsey went over and took his helmet and threw it in the back of the end zone, and Mahomes kicked his tee.
Yeah, exactly.
And you could say, that's kind of chicken shit or whatever.
Yeah.
But I think that's indicative of what I was trying to say, like where Baltimore was kind of flat.
Yeah.
I thought, and KC came out like, fucking, hey, we're in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, just all business. Yeah, I totally agree.
So then on the next play after the taunt, because it was the very next play.
I can't remember, but yeah.
No,
soon it was for sure. And Zay Flowers fumbled the ball through the end zone. Actually, thank God he didn't do that, because he fumbled the ball into the end zone and the Chiefs recovered it. So it was not the freaking rule I hate that we covered last week.
But he did break one of the unwritten rules. Like, as he got close to the goal line, the reason he fumbled is he stretched the ball out.
Right.
And Snead knocked it out. So a couple things on that. You can't give the guy shit for trying to score. Like, in that situation, like, he's like, I'm this close.
No, I agree.
I mean, but supposedly you're supposed to do that if, like, it's the last play of the game, or it's fourth quarter, whatever, or it's fourth down, whatever the case may be. But that dude Snead made that play. And I think what gets lost in the on the taunting penalty play.
Yeah.
Right? So Flowers was wide open. Yeah. Right? So Snead, I don't know if he was covering her in his zone.
Right.
But he made one of the best plays I've ever seen at DB. Like, he kept giving ground, let Flowers go. And he made the tackle.
Yeah, that's a good
point. And then there was the taunting.
Yeah, that's a good point.
9.9 out of 10 times.
He scores a touchdown.
That open. Yeah, he scores a touchdown. Yeah. Snead played like their corners.
Yeah.
Kansas City are really good.
Yeah, they're really good. McDuffie is the other one. He's really good. So anyway, the Ravens had, on one drive, they had a roughing the passer, a unnecessary unsportsmanlike conduct, and I think a defensive holding, like 3 consecutive plays.
Right. No, I think on that drive, like it just I don't remember if Kansas City scored on that, but it
I don't think they did.
It allowed them again to keep the
ball
off the field, right? But I think we laughed because Kansas City might have run three plays and gained 34 yards. 30 of them were on like literally a penalty, a 3-yard gain, another 15-yard.
Right. So anyway, the Ravens just did, and so let me come to this now. I mean, LJ, presumptive MVP for the second time. That is a regular season award, just to remind everybody. And again, just in the biggest of moments, looked outclassed again. Looked lost. Made some amazing plays to give him some credit, but his passer rating was like something like 64 or something like that. So he threw 2 interceptions, right? Or he threw the 1 interception into the end zone into triple coverage.
The 1 interception he threw into the defensive back meeting room.
Yeah, he sure did.
Like, I've never seen a throw where there's a receiver. If they needed one more DB back there to have a perfect circle around the guy.
Yeah,
I've never seen anything like that. Like when the camera, ball, he throws the ball, and then they're in the end zone, and all you see is white jerseys.
Yeah, it was It was
three of them. Like typically, you don't see three defenders.
It was a bad decision. Then it was even a worse throw because then he underthrew it. So
he could have made like that wasn't
right.
Yeah, that it literally he turned like, hey, where their DBs meeting? All right, you run into the middle of that meeting, and I'm fucking drop a dime in there.
But yeah, so again, Lamar, there's going to be a whole bunch of talk of whether he can get them over the hump, and I did hear someone talking about not to put him in the same conversation as John Elway, but John Elway did lose 3 Super Bowls, the last one of which was 55-10 or something against San Francisco, and then did get over the hump and win 2 Super Bowls. So I'm just saying, I don't think we should just be writing off Lamar Jackson and the Ravens.
I think the first one he lost, Phil Sims was MVP.
Exactly.
23 out of 25.
There you go.
He was the first guy that went to Disneyland. All right. So here's it. And no matter how many, old Ravens they rolled out in the field and shut the lights out, like that didn't help either. Yeah. And then I had no idea that Terrell Suggs was T-Sizzle.
I did, because watching the freaking Ravens.
Why is he T-Sizzle? Is that just like his nickname?
That's just his nickname. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Was he did they draft him, or like did he get traded, or was he a free agent?
No, I'm pretty sure they drafted him.
Did they?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
And I missed it. Like I didn't see Ed Reed there. I know he was there. I'm sure they brought him out.
Yeah, probably.
And they brought the accessory of murder or the actual murderer out.
He was there. I didn't see him there. I figured he was
to do his dance, and they got the statue.
Exactly.
That'd be like the Bills building a statue to OJ.
Actually, yeah. No, neither one of them were convicted.
Right? Hey,
let's put it that way.
Hey, they're both on the golf course.
Oh, that's funny. All right, so we would be remiss if we didn't talk about the greatness of the Chiefs. And I hate to say it that bluntly, but they obviously had a plan. And Mahomes on offense executed that plan to perfection. It was get Kelsey involved early, and ironically shorten the game because they were the ones running the ball. I think Pacheco had like 26 carries or something.
He's getting, as the year goes on, he's just getting better and better. Yeah. I think their offensive line is getting better.
Yeah, I think so too. Their offensive line played a great game in this game.
And remember that throw, like one thing about Kelsey and Mahomes, like the one or two, like what I'll call quote unquote, street football plays or backyard plays that they make per game. That game where Mahomes is scrambling and then he throws it across the field.
Right.
And Kelsey has to dot. Totally not ever drawn up by anyone ever.
No. So that connection, first of all, Kelsey broke Jerry Rice's record for the most receptions ever in both seasons. So that's, again, there's more games played now and so forth, but that's still...
We had 11 in the game.
That's still fucking amazing.
11 targets, 11 catches.
Exactly. I think it's what 10 of which were in the first half. So the plan I was talking about was obviously that, and they executed
then now
perfection.
It's like, hey, let's take the air out of the ball.
Exactly. And then they ran the ball. And then, but really the start of this game was Spagnuolo, man.
Spags.
I'm telling you, man. I have never seen a game plan, especially against someone like Lamar Jackson, that had more pressure and just being like ballsy, running pressure plays every single time. Man.
And he changed it. He changed it up. Wasn't it that game where, as we were watching it, there was one play when I said, "Look at this." So the four, he didn't blitz anybody, but the 4 defensive linemen got pretty good push.
Yeah.
Right. And Lamar's back there, and nobody's open, and none of them had any intention of trying to go get.
Right. They're staying in their lanes. Yeah.
They had 4 spies.
Yeah. So honestly, I was.
And I think that frustrated him, Lamar.
Oh,
he tried to make too much happen, and he's back there dancing.
And again, that's kind of, I go back to that being the ironic part about it is like that. Like they don't like I watch the Ravens all the time. They do not do that. They stick to they'll run the ball down 10 points and halfway through the third quarter.
Or he'll run it. And he was like
he had decent rushing game anyway.
Yeah. But most of the time it seemed like he didn't want to run. Like they were playing like he was back there forever.
Yeah.
And when
that's a good point.
And when Spags had 7 in coverage, nobody's ever gonna get open. But Spags is gonna if they win, he'll have like 6 rings, right, or something like that, or 5.
I haven't even thought about it, but yeah.
He won 2 with the Giants,
right?
He won last year, right? Did they win last year? Yeah.
Well, he won 1 with them. Yeah, they won last year.
Yeah.
Of course. Yeah.
So there's at least 3.
Yeah. So, and much has been made of the Kansas City's offenses struggles throughout the year. They don't look themselves. They don't have any wide receiver talent, blah, blah, blah. And it's been the defense that has like kept them afloat and now is equally winning games. Now the offense has come back. I found this like really interesting. The KC offense scored over 31 points once this season. It was against the Raiders in a loss.
So they're like a 17-point team this year, right?
Exactly.
I mean, I don't know what the actual score.
I think they're a little higher now, but it's not. It's certainly not. They're not snapping off 30 a week by any stretch.
But the thing that's amazing, and like relative to defense and Spags,
yeah.
So they, is it Chris Jones?
Yeah,
D lineman.
Yeah.
So they just gave him the 1-year deal.
Yeah, he's going to get paid,
right? Like I don't know if they're going to pay him.
Oh, they're not going to pay him.
Somebody's going to pay him.
They can't afford to pay him.
And they got those two corners. Right. I mean, they got two islands.
Yeah.
I mean, they got a Sneed Island and the McDuffie Island.
Yeah. Yeah. The Chiefs are in that place where they're going to just rotate. I mean, they're going to have their core and then rotate in people that want to win a Super Bowl kind of thing.
But what's amazing to me about them, and this isn't defense, this is relative to the offense. So everybody knows like the Kelsey Mahomes connection.
Yeah.
You know, Mahomes, Auto.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
All that shit.
Yes.
And he's like the go-to guy, right? And every time he catches not every time, maybe half the time he makes a catch, he's wide fucking open.
Yeah, I think I turned to you at one point and said, I don't understand, like how do they being the Ravens in this instance, but everyone does it. How does it get so fucking open?
Right, like maybe don't play zone.
Right, Exactly, but then you got to match up with a linebacker, which outrun or a safety.
Well, he couldn't get any more open than he is now.
I guess that's true.
What do you got to lose?
That is true. So I guess we'd be remiss not to at least mention the fact that Travis Kelce's girlfriend was there.
Oh, and they made out on the field after the game.
Yeah,
awesome.
So yeah, you know what? I don't know. They're just two kids in love. Why is there so much hate?
Hey, I'm just bummed that one, I'm bummed I know this. Two, there's no parking spots at McCarran for private jets on Super Bowl Sunday.
So you got to fly
for Tay to So I read something. We had talked about she's got a concert in Tokyo the night before the game.
That's right.
Right, but the time difference
plus
means she'll get to the West Coast on Saturday at some point.
Oh, okay.
So, maybe the private flies into LA
and
then the fucking state police shut down the highway as if Kamala Harris is fucking how they shut the 405 down. The entire 15 is going to be shut down. Right? Because what I'm shocked is that you can't tell me that airport can't find a fucking spot for her private plane.
I'm sure someone will give up their spot.
Or how about the private jet flies her to Vegas?
Yeah.
And then that douche who flies it, he just flies to LA and waits till Monday to go back and get her. Kind of like the Uber of private jets. They're happy. Their kids are in love.
But yeah, of course, it is getting a little sickening because they show every good play for the Chiefs. They show the whole box, and it's just, again, I understand the hatred, but I don't know. There's bigger things to hate in the world.
And hey, look, everybody, it's I'm not saying their relationship's a PR deal, but so she's acting in that box. I think I said to you on Sunday,
she lives her life when she knows the camera's on 100% of the time.
But every catch he makes or touchdown, you and I, if when the helmet catch in the Super Bowl, I didn't go as fucking crazy as she goes in the box. She loses her mind. So that's kind of manufactured. Whether they have a real relationship or not, I don't give a fuck. Right? But it's gonna Usher's got to be like, what the fuck? This is gonna be a son of a
exactly.
You think he's gonna bring her out?
Nah,
she's doing a show tonight before. She's not coming out.
All right. Enough. That's more Taylor Swift than we've ever brought on the podcast. And then
I still don't know a song. I mean, I assume I've heard one. I don't know about your girl. Are our girls too old?
No, my girls are.
Are they into?
Sure. Yeah.
I've never asked them. I'm gonna have to do that tonight. I'm gonna do a little research for the next podcast.
Okay. And then for the second straight week, Marquez Valdez Scantling MVS.
MVS, yeah, like because nobody wants to say it. Like
exactly. Yeah. He actually he's had a rough couple years in Detroit, including this year. But he's closed it out 2 weeks in a row, man.
In Kansas City, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's where you give Mahomes credit.
Yeah.
Right, he went to him.
Yeah,
that was a third down play.
Exactly. So anyways, probably shout out to him as well. So I don't know. That's kind of all I had in the game. Listen, the Ravens have a lot of things they need to figure out between now and next year. Mostly, they have a ton of free agents.
Do they?
I could go through them, but they do have they have a core group of talent. Obviously, LJ's the main part of that, but they are getting in that world of, and I'll get to this with Detroit later, but that world of, if not now, then when,
right?
And when becomes, it's not automatic. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we'll talk about it with Dan Campbell
exactly.
at the press conference.
Yeah, it's not automatic that just because you have a good and or young team, you're going to get back there. You know what I mean? So here's hoping they don't.
Yeah,
in terms of the Ravens.
Yeah. All right, hear that. But how about Steelers? And how do you? I find, we'll get to the Super Bowl prognostication.
Well, we're not doing that.
Oh, that's right, because we're going to be on Podcast Row.
Yeah, exactly.
Did we get our passes?
Exactly.
I keep. Are they FedExing them?
We got to hold on for that.
Are they regular mail or FedEx?
That we're supposed to get. I am leaning the cheap stuff.
Right. Well, yeah. How do you not? The big thing was they've never had to play on the road.
Right.
They've just won 2 close games on the road.
Yeah.
And are going back to the Super Bowl.
Yep. In that respect, they're kind of like, and we'll get to it, but they're kind of like the 49ers. The 49ers could never come back. Now they've come back twice in a row. So
I got one more thought on this game, and it's kind of swifty.
Okay.
Remember we talked about, like, every time they showed that box, you couldn't find Brittany Mahomes anymore.
Right.
And hanging with Taylor, girls. And I told you that I had seen Pat Mahomes Sr., the guy who pitched for the Mets, get interviewed somewhere.
Yeah.
And they asked him, was he going to be in the Taylor Swift box? And he's like, no.
I think I'm all right.
That's their box. Patrick has his. And so, probably Pat and the dad.
Yeah.
And not only was she not in there, the brother, the obnoxious brother. I don't think I saw him.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
So I think Pat
said,
and the dad, Pat Jr. and Senior said,
Ixnay on the Swifty box.
You're going in my box.
Oh, Jesus. We had a minor earthquake.
Where's Kate? We advise you to check yourself prior to wrecking yourself.
All right, that's probably a good segue to the next game. Lions 31 at the 49ers 34. So there's a lot to talk about in this game. But before we get into the game, I do have to give props to Kyle Brandt on NFL. He's on NFL Good Morning Football on NFL Network.
He's the Angry Runs guy.
Yeah. But he had this rant about this before the game, obviously, about the Lions.
Oh, that's what you told me. Go ahead.
About the Lions and the 49ers. And his point was, although he's very animated and very loud about it.
And that's his brand.
Exactly. But his point was Lions talent had more equal talent position by position. And
you said he ran down each position.
Yeah, and he went through that, and as over the top as it was, he had a pretty decent point, actually. But then he said, he's like, so he was getting in his prediction for the game. And he said the Lions, I think he predicted the Lions 28-27. And he's like, tonight there's going to be no mama spaghetti. There's only going to be confetti for the Lions. And I was like, wow.
That was great. Yeah. You sent that text.
It was awesome.
And Mom Spaghetti, he was at the game.
Yeah,
I saw a picture of him. He was flipping off Niner fans.
Exactly. It turns out Eminem didn't take the loss so well. Maybe it was just one opportunity.
One opportunity.
All right. So
my name is what?
All right. Let's get into the game. Again,
I'm going to follow your lead on this because there's so much to unpack in this game.
Yeah. So
I could just go diarrhea in the mouth right now.
Exactly. So I'm gonna try to do it justice because it was a really great game.
It was a really good game,
and it could have been an amazing game for the Lions. But
before you get into it, I will say this: so we talked at the top, or we talked in the A block about, hey, it's great if your team's not in there. Like, if you're not, how do you not enjoy these games? They're real games. And then I said, if your team's not in there, you really should enjoy it because you really don't give a fuck.
Right.
And I guess at the end of the day, I don't really give a fuck. But going into that game, I was so fired up.
Yeah, I was too.
And I thought, based on the week before, with the Packers, and 49ers, that I thought this is going to be fucking great. If the Lions are in it, I was going to order True Grit shirts for everybody. That was before I knew you were going to Thousand Oaks and down to fucking Super Bowl. I don't even think I'm going to watch it. The Lions aren't in it. Mad Dog's not in South Texas. The fuck? We are never going to be at the King Harbor Yacht Club.
All right. So
it was like, I was bummed as that game unfolded. It wasn't like a Giants loss. I didn't wake up in the middle of the night. But,
no, I understand.
For the first 15 minutes, I'm just like, sucks. But all right, go ahead.
All right, so the game was the tale of two halves.
Dickens.
So Lions in the first half honestly could not have played better, and the 49ers probably couldn't have played worse, but the Lions had a lot to do with that. So Lions scored on four of their first 5 possessions, 4 out of their 5 possessions in the first half.
And they ran the ball like motherfuckers. And remember we were talking about like watching them on TV in real time. They look so fast. They run so hard. Their game plan was great. Like, they were, it was pitch plays and everything was kind of outside, and they got to the outside.
So to your point, they had 148 yards rushing in the first half. So like, that was just like against the Niners. That like that never happens, right?
Because that was supposed to be like the greatest defense in the NFL, right? And they do like the names on each, as they say now, on each level,
right. And then on the other side of the ball, the Niners looked very pedestrian. They sandwiched a missed field goal between a Purdy interception and their only touchdown. So anyway, the first half, it was 24-7, and it just seemed like there was,
could have been worse.
Yeah, it could have been worse. It just seemed like there was just no way that San Francisco was going to turn it around. To the point where, like, I had a bet on the Lions, which I backdoor covered because we'll get to it, but they only lost by 3.
I remember I got so fired up. I did.
Pino bet this.
Pino bet a game. Money line. I was all fucking feeling. I was feeling it. At halftime, I was like, "We'll win $100."
But at halftime, I looked at the spreads, and it was the Niners minus 8.5. So I'm like, if anything, I'm going to take the Lions in a second.
Right.
Which I didn't, thank God. But anyway. So 24-7, looked, everything was going the Lions' way. So that's halftime. The 49ers get the ball first. They kick a field goal. No harm, no foul, really. So it's
even though they kicked that field goal like that, that kicker's got the worst mustache. It was worse than Artie Smith's. Like that's it. Remember I said,
"Hey, be careful. That's our new OC."
Well, he shaved it. Like Tom was going to make him go full beard.
So anyway, so it's 24-10, and you're like, all right, no harm, no foul. And then the Lions did what they did. They ran the ball.
They were answering it
mostly down the field.
Right.
They got to 3rd and 4 at the San Francisco 30, and then before we get into the real stupidity, there was stupidity before that. I'm like, all right, even if you think it's going to, if you're in 4-down territory, which obviously Dan Campbell always thinks he is, 3rd and 4, they put Amon St. Brown in the backfield and then ran him up the middle. So I'm like,
which they hadn't done all game. Everything was like misdirection and
like, what the fuck? You put a wide receiver in the backfield thinking he's going to pick it up? I mean, I don't know. Yeah, to your point, like, at least get him in space. He just ran the ball between in the A gap. I'm like, what the fuck?
Like, they should have rewritten the one play they ran that went for big yards when, like, Goff faked the play to the right and then pitch to the left, and there was no one out there.
That would have made more sense. Yeah. So anyway, so he did gain 2 yards, so it's 4th and 2. And you're at the 28-yard line, so it's a 45-yard field goal. And then, Dan Campbell, and I laugh because, and we talked about analytics and our hatred for it, but the analytics actually said it's like a 0.7% better chance.
Right.
Like you got a better 0.7% better winning chance if you go for it or not. So anyway.
Right. I thought it was like, and so you're right. So I did a little, like, so I got thought, one of my notes is I want to talk about the analytics and shit. Like, it doesn't account for the fact that you kick a field goal there, right? You basically negate what the Niners did on the first drive. And you still have the stadium sitting on its ass. It's fucking like a Morgan there. There's no energy. There's no momentum. Right? Analytics doesn't count for that. I thought, every time I joke about analytics while watching a game, I'm like, 51% chance of making it. No, you may as well go for it. Versus 49 of not. Versus the field goal. I didn't realize that this fucking analytic bullshit says, like, oh, you get it's 1.2% better chance of winning the game.
Yeah, no, that's right.
If you make it versus.
Yeah, that's right. No, if you go for it.
Or if you go for it versus 1.1.
Yeah.
So, like, the spread is, like, negligible.
I agree. So, and listen, Dan Campbell has been aggressive. You can say he's nothing but consistent, but I think, and he says he doesn't regret it. And we'll get to the other ones later in the game, but I think even he would say if and we'll get to this, if they ever get back there, he'd probably think about it differently. So anyway, they go for it on 4th and 2, and if they had kicked a field goal, it was a 48-yard field goal. Their kicker is not the best kicker, so I'm sure that factored into the decision. But whatever, it's 4th and 2. They could have gone up by 3 scores with a field goal.
They could have basically been back to where they started when they came out at halftime,
and it wouldn't have been this whole whatever. Okay, so
could I say something?
Yeah.
Here's the issue I have, and I agree. All year, 4th down is again, I'm not even sure they have a kicker on the roster. That's why he's probably not any good. It's like there, but he went so against his tendency on the last play of the first half. What?
Oh yeah, that's a fair point.
Like, why wouldn't he go for it there?
Yeah, it's a fair.
Because they score a touchdown there.
Yeah, it's a fair point.
So that one he kicks.
Yeah. And
then he doesn't.
I forget what it was.
Dude, it was like, I think there was 8 seconds left.
No, I know. But
and they were inside the 10.
I know, but with 4th and what is what I don't remember. But
I think it was 4th and goal.
Well, I know what yard line.
No, somewhere inside the 10.
Okay, but you don't go for it on 4th and 8. I mean, at the 8-yard line. I mean, come on.
All right, well.
Anyway, so they didn't go for it. And then in Dan Campbell's defense, they run a play and Josh Reynolds drops a first down catch. So,
that's the second one.
No, I thought that was the first one. Anyway.
No, the first one I thought you said was the run, St. Brown.
No, that was on 3rd down. That's my point.
Oh, okay,
why the fuck would you do that on 3rd down?
Oh, yeah, you're right. You're right.
All right, so anyway, so the 49ers get the ball back. Now the crowd's into it, to your point. And then in this, I don't know how many plays it was into the drive. I think they scored in like 6 or 7 plays. But there was a play where when it happened, you're like, oh, no. Everything is going the 49ers' way now because Purdy, who had not had a good game up until that point, throws a ball that is probably
should have been intercepted.
3 yards underthrown. Right. hits the I forget his name, but the Lions defensive back in the face mask.
Right off the grill.
It bounces off and lands in Ayuk's hands, who almost scores a touchdown. They score a touchdown 2 plays later.
And so at that point you just go, okay, I see where this is going.
Exactly.
And then you had if you kick that field goal before we get to this point, there's still no energy, right? There is such a thing as momentum.
You're still down by 10. So
So they stop them. Everyone's losing their fucking mind. The sidelines up.
Yeah.
They didn't have parkas there. I didn't mention the parkas for the Chiefs Ravens game. No, for the Ravens Chiefs game. But then that play happens, right? Which I've never seen a play like that.
Yeah, there was a lot of luck going on.
Now the entire stadium is losing their fucking mind.
It is
right.
It is.
As are the 49ers.
Yeah.
Right. So it was the next play they scored.
Yeah, they scored in the next play.
And Ayuk. Caught the touchdown pass.
That's right.
Then you talk about the snowball. Keep going.
No. So then the 49ers obviously kick it off to the Lions. And then in the first play, they hand it off to Gibbs, who had a great game, and you expect he'll just gain 5-6 yards, and then we'll start to move the ball down the field.
Right, hey, let's get a first down.
Exactly. He fumbles on the first snap. 5 plays later, the 49ers score to go up to make it 24-24.
Where did he fumble? Was it like the 30? Like it was deep in there. Like,
It
was right after the kickoff.
It was the first play after kickoff. So 49ers scored like virtually right after that, and all of a sudden it's 24-24. So there was still 3 minutes left to go in the third quarter, and the game was tied.
So they went into halftime down 17.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure this is the number. They tied the game. Scored 17 points, 17 unanswered.
Yeah.
In the span of 7 minutes of game time. Like again, to your point, it wasn't even the fourth quarter yet.
Yeah, no, it was yeah. So definitely
no one in that stadium, no one in either locker room expected that. I'm sure the 49, we're not gonna quit. We're gonna we're gonna come back and win this game.
Right.
I didn't think they'd be cruising it.
Yeah, exactly. They didn't think they were be tied up 12 minutes later. No, I don't think so. So then, I don't know. Then the Lions get the ball back. They punt. The 49ers score a field goal. So it's 27-24. And then somewhere in there, Campbell again has a 4th and 3. And at the 30-yard line. And it's 27-24. So now it's a 47-yard field goal to tie the game. And again, goes for it. Does not get it, stating the obvious.
And that play had no chance. Like, first one you're talking about, Goff had a little pressure. It wasn't the most perfect throw, but it still should have been caught. Right. This play on when he went for it here had no chance. But it was like, what the fuck are you? The dike is breaking, right? Exactly. You got a chance to
tie the game.
Everyone could take a deep breath. And we tie the game. We're on the road. It's a conference championship game.
I want to say there was probably 7 or 8 minutes left. So there wasn't time. Time was a factor, but it wasn't the factor.
And if you know what, if he misses the field goal, 49ers get the ball.
Yeah,
in 7 yards better position. Right. Than they otherwise would have gotten it. That was there's I do believe there's a difference between being aggressive and reckless. Yeah, and I think those two decisions in the second half were fucking reckless. Yeah. And I like Dan Campbell.
I do too.
And I know that's what he's done all year. But you got to account for
you have to coach differently in
it's
a championship
conference championship game on the road. Yeah. You've come out. You have taken the air out of the fucking balloon, right? Because know the beginning of that game, like Joe Montana's on the field. All those wine and cheese battery chuck or something. Remember they threw batteries at Dave Parker and the Pirates?
Oh, Jesus.
Years ago.
Philadelphia.
No, they threw ice balls at Parker. I don't know what they did. No, they definitely threw batteries. That's just, I know I used to hear them referred to as battery chucks. They threw batteries at fucking Dave. How do you get batteries into the stadium? And who thought of that? But, they were probably losing their mind for the intros, and then there was nothing. It was like a morgue.
Yeah.
And the snowball is careening downhill, getting bigger and bigger. You gotta say, fuck what analytics, whatever I typically do. We gotta stop the bleeding somehow here.
So, So on top of all of that, so then Purdy, and we'll get to Purdy, but starts scampering is the way George Kittle called it, but literally starts using his legs. He had 2 scrambles for 21 yards, I think on the same drive. Anyway, 70 yards later, now it's 34-24 San Francisco, and game is basically over. The Lions get the ball back. They do drive down. Now they need 2 scores. So here's the one that, all the other ones were bad, but this one, there's no percentage of the game thing you can tell me that you shouldn't have done something differently. So anyway, they drove the ball all the way down to the Lions did, all the way down to the 10, I want to say.
Right. Yeah, they were inside. They were in end goal situation.
Exactly.
Right?
It was 4th and I want to say it wasn't even really makeable. It was 4th and 7 or something. Right. 4th and goal at the 7 maybe. And he goes for it. I'm like, all right, wait a minute. You need 2 scores.
Right.
If you don't make this, the game's over. If you kick a field goal, you still got to get the onside kick. Kick the field goal. Jesus Christ. There's no percentage of win of the game that made sense to me either. But he went for it. They made it.
They got bailed out. But I think the bigger deal on that sequence, if you will.
Yeah.
So they still had 3 timeouts when they go into third down, right? They need 2 scores. And they're in an inside the 10 situation. you would think you throw it twice.
Right.
Instead, they run it on third down, and then they had to burn the timeout, which meant they weren't getting the ball back, even if they kicked the field goal.
Right.
You know?
So, it was, obviously, it was desperation time, but still, it did make it. If you're going to play analytics, then there's analytics on that one that kick the fucking field.
Yeah, but see, that's where I think he was inconsistent. Like maybe you know what? He's a badass. And it was his first conference championship game, and it kind of got a little
away from him,
unwieldy, like it was going off the rails, and he just took it off the rails.
Right.
But and again, you say like, hey, 4th and goal from the 8, you don't go for it. But he fucking, you don't go for it when you're down 3. And you're in field goal range on the road in the 4th quarter in a conference championship game. You tie the game.
Yeah.
But he kicked it in the first half and refused to kick it in the second half. It made no sense to me.
Yeah. So anyway, obviously, and I listened to a little talk radio today, and some yahoos called in like, "Oh, we got to get rid of Dan Campbell."
Oh, that's bullshit.
And of course, I can't remember what announcers it was. Of course, they're like, "Listen, you're not getting rid of Campbell."
Irrelevant for fucking as long as I can since Barry Sanders retired. Like I don't even care when they had Megatron, and they were still irrelevant. And they were America's team this weekend.
Yeah, they sure were.
I was legitimately bummed out.
Yeah, I was too. They so and again, like and I referred to this in the B block or whatever the fuck it was, but they have a young roster. They have a quarterback, which I think they need to figure out his situation.
He's a free agent,
right? But I'm sure he's not going anywhere. And they've drafted really, really well. So anyway, they have this like really young, cheap roster other than what they have to do with golf. And they should and could get back there, but couldn't yet, I guess. But you never fucking know.
Right. And I know, let's kind of unpack that. But one thing I want to say back to the game, those receivers did Goff no favors, especially in that second half. Remember number 8?
Yeah. Well, that was Josh Reynolds. He had a couple drops. Yeah.
He had the one. So he was the one on that first 4th down to make that catch. And then there was another play that would have been a huge gain, where if the 8 is 2 circles with a line in the middle of it, Goff hit him in stride on that straight line, and he fucking dropped it.
Yeah,
like his receivers, Goff played a good game, and not only was I bummed like they didn't win, I really have been rooting for Goff.
Yeah,
I was bummed that because he deserved to win that game the way he played. I thought.
Yeah, I mean, I guess,
he didn't make any mistakes.
Yeah, no, I agree.
But all right, so now let's go ahead about getting back.
Oh, so just like all right, so we can kind of cover both teams actually in this regard. So we can do the Lions first since we're on the Lions. I mean, so everything, arrows pointing up for sure.
Right.
But they next year there's in their own division, there's Jordan Love and the Packers getting, arguably way better. You know what I mean? So they may be fighting for the division next year. And then you still have the 49ers. You still have, you know what I mean?
Wait, but don't finish their division. Like you got, I don't know what Minnesota's going to do, but McConnell, is that the coach's name?
Yeah, O'Donnell.
O'Donnell?
Kevin
McConnell. O'Donnell? Kevin O'Donnell?
I don't know.
I think Neil O'Donnell you're thinking about.
Jesus.
But like, who knows what they're going to do at quarterback, but they were decent this year. They'll be good.
No,
and then the Bears are probably going to have Caleb Williams.
Yeah, but that's a rookie quarterback. So who knows? But my point is, so there's no guarantees, I guess is my point. Right. So if you want to go to the other side and look at like Lamar and the Ravens, so and this is like kind of the sad thing is like, all right, so when you look at the AFC, so let's say Patrick Mahomes plays 10 more seasons. All right, that would get him to,
that's 16 years. Right.
Yeah, but that would get him to 38 or 39. So he in theory could actually play longer than that. Let's just make the math easy. 10. Let's assume he goes to the Super Bowl 3 out of those 10, which is probably pretty fucking conservative, right?
Based on the way it's gone so far.
Exactly. So,
will this be his third Super Bowl?
It's
fourth.
Yeah,
fourth in 6 years.
Yeah, 4th in 6 years. Yeah. So anyway, all right. So let's assume it's 4. So that means there's 6 left for Josh Allen, Lamar, Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, C.J. Stroud, if you want to go that. So
Daniel Jones.
No. I'm talking about the AFC to get there.
Okay, right.
To get there. Like, seriously, think about that. Like, so there's just not much to go around.
Right, exactly. And he's so far ahead of, like, Brady's pace.
Yeah.
If you think about it.
So but my point is, when you think about the Lamar and the Ravens, like the Lions, I think, all right, listen, they're really young, but again, you never know. But like when you think about, like, the Ravens had this, like, this handed to them. They're playing at home against, like, everything's in their
right. A Chiefs. They
didn't get over the hump, man. Right. I'm telling you,
they didn't even attempt to get over the hump.
Exactly.
They were so flat.
And like the chances of, you could easily see the Ravens, Lamar getting beat by C.J. Stroud and the Texans in the first round this year. You know what I mean? Or losing their division to Joe Burrow and a healthy Joe Burrow, or like, so everything aligned for them this year, except for someone beating the Chiefs apparently, but they didn't get there. So like the idea of them, like, they have this great team with a great quarterback and they're automatically going to get in that position again and get to a Super Bowl. I don't know.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And you look at it like Danny Marino.
Yeah, exactly.
He got the Super Bowl in his second year, never went back, right?
Yep, exactly.
Those great Charger teams, Dan Fouts, one of the greatest quarterbacks ever. Yeah. Did they ever make a Super Bowl?
Nope, never.
Yeah.
Never. Yeah.
And that's where I think that's the kind of the strength of Dan Campbell. Like at the press conference right after the game, he's like, "Man, I told these guys, listen, this is hard, man. There's no guarantee we're getting back here. People are going to be gunning for it." Like, he'll have buy-in from those guys.
Oh yeah. No, for sure. No, he's not going to lose that team ever. Well, not now.
No, but anyway. I mean, like, in terms of, here's the reality, fellas.
Right.
Like, we're not just rolling the fucking balls out next year and everything's going to be the same. We're starting all over.
Right. No, that's right. And that is the sad thing, or the reality is, like, like every team, like, there's gonna be at least 20 new faces, probably on average. I shouldn't say at least, on average 20 new faces on a roster. On the roster. So it's like it's a whole different, it's a whole different ball game, whatever you want to say.
You know what's interesting about Campbell is that I know everybody, it's like, hey, the analytics say this, that analytics. I don't even know if they have an analytics department. He doesn't strike me as an analytics guy.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, he's just fucking listening, we're going for it. But if they do have an analytics department, I mean, who was it? You or Dev D said on Sunday, like, Lombardi is rolling over in his grave. Like, with these decisions.
He said Landry, but same
right.
thing.
And this analytics shit has got, like, they got to just tap the brakes on this. Otherwise, you don't need coaches, right? Yeah. It's all an algorithm.
And again, like, when there's such a thing as margin of error too, right? So like when you're in the margin of error, like, maybe consider the game flow, consider the fact that you can go up by 3 scores on the road. You know what I mean? It's like,
right. And keep everyone shut up. Momentum's a fucking thing, especially in football.
Exactly.
Right. How many games have you watched when the tide starts turning, if you don't do anything to stop it, it just fucking keeps on rolling. Keep on rolling. Keep on rolling.
All right. Well, so we are committed to doing a Super Bowl preview show.
Yeah, we have to.
That'll be, I don't know, next Tuesday.
Well, we'll do that from Media Day.
Exactly. We'll do that from Radio Row. So I'll save my predictions until then. I think it's going to be I think it's easy to say, obviously, but I think it's going to be a really good game. I really do.
It should be.
Yeah. Obviously you're hoping for not a blow.
I don't think it's going to be a high scoring game.
The way the Chiefs are playing, as we pointed out earlier, they haven't scored more than 31 the whole season.
I'm going to root for whatever numbers come up on your $1,000 box pool. That's the only. You going to tell me what your numbers are? Even though you're being fucking Thousand Oaks. Me and Nev D and fucking off my name tag on, but I am going to get that turkey club. That shit was good. And hopefully they'll have 2 bartenders.
I hope so.
That poor lady. Shit, I had one thing I wanted to add because I know we're going to sign off now. Hopefully they'll find a parking spot for Taylor at McCarran.
Yes, I'm sure they will.
Although I do want to be on the 15 if they don't, and she has to fly into LA when they do the traffic break. I'm on the on-ramp from the 10 trying to get on the 15 and I can't. It's backed up to Pasadena.
All right, guys, we will see you next week.
We'll see you for the preview show. Maybe we don't do it Tuesday. We get a little closer. Oh, I know. That's what I wanted to add. Big news on the coaching carousel today. That's not going to happen is that and this is what good for the Lions.
Yeah.
Like Ben Johnson announced he was not.
Should have said that. Yeah.
He pulled out of consideration.
Well, he pulled out, or he's just asking a lot for too much money.
Yeah. So who knows? But he's staying in Detroit, so that's good for them.
Right.
But it's amazing that the jobs are still open.
Yeah. So Washington. By the way, this was interesting on the Ben Johnson thing. So a bunch of Washington brass were on a flight to Detroit to interview him and Aaron Glenn, and Ben Johnson. Nah.
Right.
I think anyway. But they're still interviewing Aaron.
You do it like at the end of a Zoom call, a Teams meeting. You're like, okay, if we got nothing else, I'll give you 15 minutes back. All right, Johnson. That's the same guy that lost his gold medals, right?
Yeah, he's Canadian.
All right. Well, that doesn't mean he can't coach in the NFL. I mean, I know it's not 110 yards or 55 points.
All right. Before we get way off the rails, next week, guys.
We'll check ourselves before we wreck ourselves, and we'll be back at some point next week.
Bye.
Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review the show. And follow us on social media to stay in the loop with all things Maddog and Pino. Until next time, keep those ice cubes jiggling.